Is this situation an incident for Alpha? Should we disconnect? What does the legal team say? You can just feel the tension, right? That's the sound of a crisis in motion.
So yeah, a major supplier has just been hit, and the leadership team at this company, we'll call them Alpha, they've made a huge call. Even though the breach didn't happen on their servers, they are treating it as a direct attack on them. We're going to step right inside this simulation to see how a modern cyber crisis unfolds, and more importantly, how organizations are finding new ways to move from total chaos to being back in control.
You know, for any company out there today, this whole story starts with a pretty simple and frankly unavoidable truth. A cyber crisis, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So the real question becomes, what are you going to do when your when finally arrives? And believe me, in those first few minutes, it is pure chaos. I mean, just imagine a fire hose of information, pressure, and just total uncertainty all pointed right at you. The leadership team gets hit with this flood of questions all at once, and every single answer could have huge, massive consequences.
Okay, so here's the very first dilemma they face. The attack is on their supplier, right? Not on them directly. So, is this really their problem? Well, Alpha CEO has already made the call. Yes, it is. But making that decision, whoa, it just kicks off a chain reaction of a dozen other urgent questions.
And this is the big one. Do you just pull the plug? Disconnect from the supplier to protect yourself? I mean, it sounds simple enough, right? But what if that supplier is the one running your entire sales system, your CRM? Cutting them off could literally paralyze your own business. The clock is ticking, and you got to make a call, like right now.
This is what we call the fog of war, and it's where the chaos starts to create these silos. You've got legal over here, totally scrambling, trying to figure out GDPR risk and data exposure. Then there's the PR team, desperately trying to decide, do we say something or do we stay quiet? Meanwhile, business continuity is running the numbers, just trying to figure out if the company can even operate. And at the top, the CEO is trying to juggle all these competing priorities to make the right call. See the problem? Everybody's busy, but nobody's working together.
So how do you cut through all that noise? How do you break through that fog of war? Well, this is where the whole strategy shifts. You move away from all those scattered conversations and into a single, centralized command center, one that's powered by AI.
So, instead of a million different email chains and frantic phone calls, imagine just looking at this, a single crisis readiness dashboard. In one glance, you get a complete 360-degree view of the entire situation. You can see your overall readiness score, the current alert level, everything. All that noise and chaos, it's instantly replaced with clarity.
Okay, so this is the next crucial step. You're not just looking at the problem anymore, you're actively managing it. With just one click, you can launch a virtual war room. Think of it as a dedicated command center where tasks get assigned, tracked, and coordinated for every single team involved. It's all happening in one place. And this is how you start to build a real effective response. All of a sudden, those teams that were off in their own corners, they're all brought together into one synchronized effort. The crisis team, incident response, PR, legal, everyone is looking at the exact same information, working from the exact same playbook. And just like that, the confusion we saw earlier, it starts to disappear. But look, this is way more than just giving everybody a shared screen to look at. What's really a game changer here is how the AI actively guides the team. It helps them make the smartest decisions, especially when the pressure is on and things are getting intense.
So the AI platform looks at Alpha's readiness for this specific kind of attack, a supply chain attack, the exact thing that's happening, and it spits out this chilling number, 33%. That's it. They are only 33% ready for this. In an instant, the AI has pinpointed their single biggest vulnerability, telling them exactly where they need to focus all their energy. And that is the core idea here. It's what's called an autonomous AI-guided war room. And no, it's not just a glorified chat room. It's a truly intelligent system that helps oversee the whole strategy, prioritize what needs to be done right now, and keep every single person in sync when, every second really counts.
So how does this all work in the real world? Well, you can think of it like a continuous loop. The system is always monitoring for threats. The moment a new risk pops up, boom, the alert level gets raised. That automatically triggers the war room and deploys the right playbook for the situation. It ensures a coordinated, fast, and efficient response every single time. And this really brings us to a massive shift in how we think about this stuff. Surviving a crisis today isn't about having some great plan that you pull out of a dusty binder once a year. No, it's about building a culture of what's being called resilience every day. Yeah, they actually call it the RED factor, resilience every day. And it's all about a constant process of getting better. You're always assessing your weak spots, just like that AI did for Alpha. You're constantly gathering intel, running drills, and updating your plans. It's not a static document. It's a living, breathing system.
And this really is a tale of two different worlds, right? The old way versus the new way. We're talking about a move from being reactive to being proactive, from responding to a big event to it being a continuous process. Instead of just cleaning up the damage after it's done, the goal is now to predict and maybe even prevent incidents from ever happening. And forget those once-a-year fire drills. This is about ongoing, real-time training and assessment.
You know, this whole shift, it isn't just a nice to have anymore. It's quickly becoming non-negotiable. And that's because external forces, especially new government regulations, are basically making this level of preparedness a mandatory cost to doing business.
Let's just take the financial sector, for example. Both the UK and the EU have rolled out huge new regulations. In the UK, it's called the CTP regime, and in the EU, it's DORA. Now, what's really interesting here is that even though their approaches are different, the UK is a bit more flexible, the EU is very rule-based, their ultimate goal is exactly the same: force companies to be more resilient, especially when it comes to their critical suppliers. You know, just like the situation Alpha was in.
And listen, the clock is absolutely ticking on this. The UK's rules, they already took effect back in early 2025. So this isn't some down-the-road problem. It's happening right now. Businesses are scrambling to figure out where their weaknesses are and how to comply. The era of regulators demanding this kind of resilience, it's already here. Which really brings us right back to the central question. For you, a crisis is coming. That's a guarantee. So when it finally hits your organization, who or what is going to be in your war room? Will you be guided by chaos and confusion, or by clarity and control?